think behaviors are driven by misconception. And it contributes a lot to what we end up doing. And I'll start from a basic thing. I have begun to have a strong view that even amongst the educated Ghanaians, we do not understand the role of vaccines and how they work. And I'll tell you why. Vaccines work at two levels. I'm glad we have Michael here, who's a virologist and doctor here as well. They confer two things. There is the personal protection at the individual level, and there's the community protection at the global level. Without the community protection, the personal protection is limited, and that's why we talk about herd immunity. That's the community protection. So if you look at the vaccines, you see that it will tell you, the vaccine is 95% effective at preventing mortality. It's 89% effective against hospitalization. It's 70% against symptomatic disease, and 60 to 70% against infection. These things are measured in communities. I mean, I'm looking at the latest data that has been issued by Public Health England, and those percentages have been measured in communities where herd immunity has been reached. For example, in nursing and residential home workers and residents, who majority of whom 9 in 10 have been vaccinated. And their exposure to the general population, and the advantage that in the UK, you go to every pharmacy and you can pick up a test and you can test yourself and is encouraged. So they are able to measure accurately the number of people who've actually been vaccinated who have then been exposed to the virus, because once someone gets exposed, anyone who was in their immediate vicinity gets pinged on their mobile phone to say, you have been exposed to this virus and you have to be isolated. And then they go and measure of that person who got infected, how many of his or her contacts actually got infected. So they are able to have this data, and it's quite robust. They are telling you that in a country where herd immunity has almost been reached, still, prevention of symptomatic disease is 60 to 70%, which means 30 to 40% of people who've been vaccinated will get infected and would have symptoms. So when I hear the likes of Dr. Siasari say, no one went to a funeral and got infected, I'm like, what's the science here? Because the data in a country, and you can compare it to the data coming out of Clinic in Israel, which is a country that is past herd immunity, tells you that, yes, if you have people with the capability of transmitting the disease, an unvaccinated population, some who have been vaccinated would get infected, but they wouldn't fall very ill. If they fall very ill, they wouldn't get hospitalized. If they get hospitalized, they wouldn't get critically ill. And if they get critically ill, they wouldn't die. And these are the percentages. And I hear someone who's supposed to communicate the reality to Ghanaians, who I believe reads the same data I read, because I know the likes of Michael have seen these documents I'm talking about, and says that no, nobody got infected. Then I ask myself, how do you want the Ghanaian to react to the information you're giving? So I would at this point want to speak to the Ghanaian. If anybody tells you that I'm vaccinated and you are vaccinated, and so come for a function, and you can ignore the protocols, it's not true. The person wants you to turn into a ghost. You need to be aware of that. Sometimes we need to be blunt. Yes, you have a higher proportion of personal protection, but you have virtually zero community protection. And because your personal protection figures were measured in populations where vaccination coverage is high, your protection might be lower in Ghana because the community protection is not there, because you need A plus B to get C. Your B is 0, your A is there, so your C would be low. It's as simple as that. And that is how something I would want people to take some of this information and behave appropriately. Because if we who read these documents, read them just as documents and come telling people, it's 95% protection against mortality, without letting them understand how these things are measured, and they take it, then you get what is now appearing on social media, where you see people, and I'm quite sure a lot of my colleagues have had it as well. Someone say, I got vaccinated, and now I'm being told that I've gotten infected. and they cannot make these correlations. So if we are not careful, then they start spreading another negative narrative around, oh, even if you get vaccinated, you can get it anyway, so why bother? And that will give us problems when we have the vaccine. So we need to expand these conversations. We need to be a bit more contrite with the Ghanaian and level up with them and let them know these things. Thanks, Samson.
Right. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and click on that bell icon and get notified every time we share something new. You know we always share something new. Stay consistent.